Tom Allnut says that Tottenham would probably demand a fee of at least £60 million to sell Christian Romero this summer. I do feel like it could be a bit more than that, seeing as what we bought him for 50 million at the time.
Yeah, it depends how difficult he makes it and all these different things. But I think, look, there is maybe a 60 plus a few add-ons. If like I know he wins I don't know. Maybe there'll be something there as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a base fee of 60 plus add-ons or something.
And there's this interview from Cuti Romero that's doing the rounds. A lot of people talking about it on social media yesterday. The full interview hasn't been released, so there is an interview that's going to come out over the next couple of days. It's an interview that Tom Allnut says that was okayed by the club, but it was all organised by Cuti Romero. And so the quotes that we do have is the reporter says, "What's next for you? What do you plan for your career?" And he says, "Well, I try above else to always live day by day. There are almost 2 months left until the end of the season, and my focus is always performing at my best and trying to finish the best way possible. We're in the Europa League semi-final, which is an important step for the club. After so many years of not making it this far, I can say I'm happy because in the end, I'd like to win it, because it depends on many things. But yeah, after this season, when the season ends, we'll see. Honestly, I haven't spoken to my agent yet, but I'm open to anything. My mindset is always about growing, also about the new places to keep developing, but I don't want to talk about that just yet because we are still a few months before the season ends." And then the reporter asks him, "Which league that you haven't played in would you like to play in based on how you see it?" And he says, "Yes, the league I'm missing is Spain. I'd love to, honestly, La Liga. I'd love to play there because it's one of the leagues I haven't played in yet." And a lot of Spurs fans are getting very angry. But I would say that a lot of Spurs fans are getting angry at that with only small snippets of that interview being released, when I think people weren't reading that whole kind of snippet on it. And Tom Allnut said on that interview that Spurs were aware of the interview that Cuti Romero did with Argentinian media that was circulating around social media in recent hours, which took place at Tottenham's training ground. The club will not be taking any disciplinary action against Romero for the interview.
Well, if they okayed it, then they can't really do that. But in terms of what he said, as much as there's obviously a bit of context to it, but doesn't not add fuel to the fire when there's all these links to Atletico and going to Spain, and all of a sudden he's asked, "Where would you like to play?" He goes, "Yeah, I'd like to play in Spain." So like, it obviously adds fuel to the fire, and it makes a lot of sense because you know that Romero isn't happy at the club. I think that's obvious at the moment. As much as he's going to try and put his all to win this Europa League, and that'll mean a lot for the club and him personally because it's a trophy he'll have on his CV. He's been on record about how unhappy he is about how the club is run and all these different things. And it doesn't surprise me when you hear these words from him that his head's he's obviously not committing his future or anything of that stretch in the imagination. I think he's probably laying the groundwork to leaving in the summer, to be honest, and I don't really blame him.
Yeah, look, I see that, but I mean, when you're talking about where you want to play in your future, I mean, it's just not the time to do it right now when we're trying to build up to a semi-final of the Europa League. He's supposed to be the vice captain of the club, and we've seen him put in shockers in the Premier League, which looks like he's checked out in those specific games. From a vice captain of your club, this is not what you want going into like the biggest weeks of what we've seen since the Champions League final, really, since 2019. We haven't had a bigger game than this, the semi-final of the Europa League. So I mean, I think fans are probably well within their rights to get frustrated and angry with these kind of comments. It's just the timing is completely off with all this. Why not organize? He organized this interview. Why not organize it at the end of the season once it's all said and done?
Maybe he's putting pressure on Tottenham or Atletico or one of the two. I don't know. I don't know what. But
why now? Why in the week building up to the semi-final?
Couldn't tell you what the timing is for any of it. But it obviously is not. Definitely doesn't sit right with me and a lot of fans that he's doing it now, and he's getting these words out there. And I'll be interested to see what he's going to say in the full interview, if he's going to mention the club again, all that kind of stuff, because he wasn't shy about it last time, and this time it's on camera. It wasn't on camera last time, so
well, I'm sure the club know exactly what's been said in the interview, and they're saying they're not going to have any disciplinary action with any of the words that he said. So I can't imagine it'll be too bad against the club.
Yeah, probably not, but who knows?
Because he faced disciplinary action for the last comments, didn't he?
Can't remember. I think Ange said, did he get fined? Can't remember.
Well, Ange said they're dealing with it internally.
Yeah. So, look, Romero is not usually one to mince his words. He's usually quite honest. We'll see what he says. But when it comes to him leaving in the summer, I think it's bound to happen. I just can't. I think it's obvious that he's going to be on his way out. And as much as I'm frustrated, and if hopefully he leaves out the front door, not the back door, by winning that Europa League, and then he'll leave as I don't know about a hero, but he'll be known as, you know, not the captain on the day, but one of the main players that led us to a Europa League trophy, and that doesn't count for nothing. But I just hope it doesn't get ugly. That's just what I'm hoping for.
I think it will. I think it will get ugly, and I think like if Daniel Levy is up to his old tricks, you know how he makes it very difficult for players to leave if they want to. Look at Christian Eriksen, for example, how difficult it was for him to leave, and stuff like that. You know, Romero ain't one just to let that happen. You know, he'll kick up a stink. Don't get it twisted. You know, so look, I don't begrudge Romero for wanting to leave, but what I do begrudge him for is the way he's kind of going about things on the pitch, particularly, well, only in the Premier League games at this moment in time, and also for organising an interview a week away from, or just over a week away from, our biggest game since 2019. It's just like when you're a vice captain of the club and you're wearing that armband in the Premier League games at this moment in time, like, what are you doing? Like, seriously, what are you doing? Like, why would you, whether it does put it in jeopardy or not, which I don't think it will, but if there is a slight chance to, you know, ruffle a few feathers with that, between him and the fan base, why are you doing that before a semi-final of a European competition? There's no need for it. Like, if you want to kick up a fuss to leave, do it when the season finishes. There's no need to do it now.
But you're saying with the context, is he kicking up a fuss to leave with those comments?
Whether he's kicking up a fuss to leave, he's mentioning it and he's talking about it, which there's no need to do it. Like, he's just causing too many questions and conversations which we don't need at this moment in time.
Yeah, but as always, it's not going to go away, is it?
But you don't need to talk about it right now in the
He
build-up to a
was asked, where would you like to play?
Yeah, he doesn't need to answer it. He can just, he's the one that organised this interview. He knows these questions are going to come up.
Fair.
He's asking for it. That's what he's asking for, these questions.
Well, I don't know if he's asking them to ask certain questions.
But he knows what questions are going to be asked. Not specifically, but he knows these kind of things are going to prop up in an interview that he organises.
Yeah, that's fair.
So Romero he's not going into this blind, you know what I mean? He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, of course he's not going into it blind, but like, yeah. I mean, but I guess he could put it away as, like, he was asked where would you like to play where you haven't played before, I think was the actual question. And he's played in Italy and he's played in England, so where else is there left?
You got to think about the motivations behind this interview. Like, Romero's not one that consistently speaks to the press, is he? Like, he only speaks when, you know, he wants to speak. That's Cuti Romero. He's not like someone like Decky who's speaking all the time to the press, or a Maddison or someone like that. Romero only he's a clever guy. He only speaks when he wants to get stuff out there in the open.
Well, he doesn't have great English, I think, is also part of it.
No, this interview was done in Spanish.
That's what I'm saying. He did, but I'm saying Decky can go and speak to one of the English reporters. Romero can't really do that.
Yeah, that's also fair, but I still feel like, you know, with the interview last time about when he said those comments about the board, like, because he wanted to get something out there. This time he wants to get something out there again. So I think it's very tactical from Romero, all this.
Yeah, you're probably right about it. And that's how these things are done these days, I think, a lot of the time. But yeah, I agree. A week before the semi-final, it's not a great look, but as long as he plays well, it is what it is.
People are saying, I've just seen it in the comments, which reminded me of a tweet I saw, that it's got shades of that Harry Kane interview with Gary Neville. When
he ended up staying that summer.
He did end up staying, yeah. But the thing is, the difference between Kuti and Harry, I think Harry had more respect for the club than maybe Kuti does.
Do you reckon Levy and Romero have a gentleman's agreement?
I think after Harry's gentleman agreement with the club, no player's ever having a gentleman agreement with the club again.
Either it's in writing or it's nothing. Yeah, look, I think Romero is destined to be gone in the summer. I'll be very surprised if he's here beyond. You never know. Football, a lot of people seem destined to leave and they end up staying. It happens, but I just can't. I find it very difficult to see a world where he's a Tottenham player next season, whatever happens.